September 1943. Allied headquarters, Sicily. The captured German military cook stood at rigid attention, years of Wehrmacht discipline evident in his posture. Captain Thomas Reynolds of the U.S. Army Quartermaster Corps studied the prisoner's file, noting his extensive training at the prestigious Berlin Culinary Academy before the war, and his service preparing meals for Luftwaffe officers in North Africa. The Germans' confusion was evident when the American officer explained his unexpected new assignment, preparing nutritious meals for displaced Italian women under Allied protection. "You want me to cook for Italian traitors?" the German asked in halting English, disbelief evident in his voice. After 3 years of preparing precise portions under strict rationing for German officers, the concept seemed incomprehensible. Italy's surrender on September 8th had transformed allies into enemies overnight, and now he was being asked to serve those his Führer had declared betrayers of the Axis cause. Across American-controlled Sicily that autumn, similar scenes unfolded as U.S. military authorities identified 27 captured German military cooks with professional training. These men, expecting prisoner work details on roads or docks, instead received assignments to a humanitarian mission that contradicted everything Nazi propaganda had taught them about American priorities and capabilities. The fall of Mussolini in July 1943 had created chaos throughout Italy. When the new Italian government signed an armistice with the Allies in September, German forces rapidly occupied northern Italy, treating their former allies as enemies. In the confusion, thousands of Italian civilians were displaced, including women who had been pressed into service in various capacities by retreating Axis forces. American military authorities, advancing through Sicily and southern Italy, encountered these women, malnourished, traumatized, and caught between two armies. Captain Reynolds explained to the German cook that 342 such women were currently under American protection near Palermo. Medical officers reported average weight loss of 18 pounds per person, with concerning deficiencies in protein and essential vitamins. The American solution was characteristically pragmatic: utilize the skills of captured German cooks to prepare nourishing meals while regular humanitarian channels were established. The cook's personnel file noted his specialty in crafting balanced field rations under difficult conditions, precisely the skill set now needed. But the cook could not reconcile this mission with his understanding of military priorities. In Germany, such humanitarian concerns would be subordinated to combat operations. Here, American officers allocated precious transportation capacity to deliver fresh ingredients rather than additional ammunition. "You have 1 week to prepare sample menus utilizing these ingredients," Captain Reynolds explained, sliding a supply inventory across the table. The list included items increasingly rare in German military kitchens: powdered eggs, canned milk, white flour, sugar, canned vegetables, and even chocolate. The quantities specified for just 342 women exceeded what many German company cooks received for over 150 soldiers. The German studied the inventory with professional interest despite his ideological confusion. After years of substituting ingredients and stretching supplies, the American abundance represented an impossibility made manifest. How could a nation fighting on two fronts allocate such resources to displaced civilians from a former enemy nation? This question would be the first of many challenging his indoctrinated beliefs about American capabilities and priorities. What began as bewilderment at being asked to cook for Italian traitors would evolve into a fundamental reassessment of everything he thought he understood about war, compassion, and national strength. The contrast between German military efficiency and American humanitarian concern was about to be written in flour and sugar, in soups and bread, revealing an American approach to victory that included feeding the vulnerable rather than merely defeating the strong. July 10th, 1943. Operation Husky, the Allied invasion of Sicily, shattered the Mediterranean calm. For German military cooks serving with Axis forces, the collapse came with shocking speed. Within weeks, Mussolini was deposed by his own Grand Council. By September, the new Italian government under Marshal Pietro Badoglio signed an armistice with the Allies, transforming yesterday's comrades into today's enemies. German forces responded by disarming Italian units and occupying northern Italy in Operation Axa, treating their former allies as traitors rather than defeated friends. Amidst this geopolitical upheaval, Italian civilians found themselves caught in a devastating crossfire. Women who had provided services to the Axis military establishment, laundresses, cleaners, administrative workers and others euphemistically categorized as comfort women in military documents, faced particular danger. Neither fully protected by retreating Italian forces nor welcomed by advancing Germans, these women fled south toward Allied lines. Medical examinations conducted at American processing centers documented their condition. Average body weight 42 kilograms, hemoglobin levels 20% below normal standards, vitamin deficiencies manifesting in skin lesions and lethargy. The situation demanded immediate nutritional intervention. Quartermaster records from September 1943 show the typical daily ration for these women upon arrival consisted of 800 calories, less than half the 2,000 calories deemed necessary by American medical officers for recovery. German field rations by this point in the campaign had declined to 1,800 calories daily for combat troops, with cooking personnel instructed to prioritize protein for fighting men. Italian civilian rations in German-occupied territories averaged 1,200 calories when available. By contrast, American supply systems delivered astonishing abundance. Standard American field kitchens received 3,600 calories per soldier daily. Even accounting for combat wastage and spoilage in the Mediterranean heat, American troops consumed approximately 3,000 calories daily, including fresh bread, canned fruit, powdered eggs, and even occasional ice cream when refrigeration units functioned properly. Oberstgefreiter Karl Müller, captured near Messina with the field kitchen of the 15th Panzergrenadier Division, exemplified the German military cooking tradition. Trained at the Wehrmacht's culinary school in Dresden, Müller had mastered the preparation of nutritious meals under battlefield conditions. His expertise lay in extracting maximum calories from minimal ingredients, a skill developed through 3 years of diminishing supplies. German military cooking prioritized efficiency, standardization, and careful portion control. Waste was punished. Creativity was subordinated to consistency. American Captain William Harrington, assigned to humanitarian operations in liberated Sicily, recognized the potential in these skills. "These German cooks know how to create nutritious meals under extreme constraints," he noted in a September 15th memorandum. "Their training is exactly what we need for this emergency feeding operation." When Müller and 26 other captured German cooks assembled in a requisitioned school building outside Palermo, they encountered a scene that defied their expectations. Instead of interrogation or labor assignments, they found American quartermasters unloading supplies: 50-pound sacks of flour, crates of powdered milk, cartons of dried eggs, and cases of canned vegetables. The purpose, explained through interpreters, was to establish a feeding program for displaced Italian women, many of whom had worked in various capacities for the Axis forces before Italy's surrender. The first meeting between German cooks and Italian women occurred under American supervision on September 22nd. The women, exhausted, malnourished, and suspicious, regarded their former allies with undisguised hostility. The German cooks, still processing their capture and Italy's betrayal, viewed the women as symbols of their allies' collapse. Between them stood American officers, pragmatically focused on a simple objective: using available skills and resources to address a humanitarian crisis. This unlikely triangle, German expertise, Italian need, and American resources, would become the foundation for an unexpected experiment in culinary diplomacy that would challenge deeply held beliefs about enemies, allies, and the proper conduct of war. October 1943. Allied command requisitioned an abandoned pasta factory on the outskirts of Palermo, transforming it into a central kitchen facility. German field equipment, 3 Feldkochherd mobile cooking units captured during the Sicily campaign formed the core of the operation. American quartermasters supplemented these with standard-issue M1937 field rangers, creating a hybrid cooking environment that symbolized the cultural collision about to unfold. The supply inventory delivered to the German cooks revealed American abundance that contradicted years of Nazi propaganda. Weekly deliveries included 800 pounds of flour, 120 pounds of sugar, 300 pounds of canned meat, 240 pounds of powdered milk, 180 pounds of dehydrated vegetables, 60 pounds of coffee, and 100 pounds of preserved fruits. This quantity, intended to feed 342 women, exceeded what German quartermaster units allocated for an entire infantry company of 180 combat soldiers. Karl Müller, examining American canned goods with professional curiosity, discovered quality that surpassed German military provisions even from the early war years. American evaporated milk contained 7.9% butterfat compared to the 2.5% in German military rations. American flour, refined to a consistency rarely seen in Germany since 1941, contained protein levels suitable for pasta production. Most surprising were the coffee beans. Real coffee, not the ersatz mixture of roasted grains and acorns that had become standard in German military kitchens. Planning menus presented an unexpected cultural challenge. German military cooking emphasized caloric efficiency and portion uniformity. Italian culinary traditions prioritized regional ingredients and meal progression. American nutritional guidelines focused on protein intake and vitamin content. Captain Harrington established minimum dietary requirements: 2,000 calories daily per person, including 60 grams of protein, with meals containing all essential vitamins identified by American medical research. The German cooks, accustomed to rigid military hierarchy, found themselves negotiating between American abundance and Italian preferences. Conversations initially required multiple translations: German to English through American interpreters, then English to Italian through local assistants. The phrase "acceptable food" carried different meanings across these cultural divides. Daily output from the kitchen facility reached 1,026 meals by mid-October. American medical officers documented gradual improvement in the women's condition, with average weight gain of 0.8 pounds weekly. But numbers failed to capture the human dimension of this unusual experiment. Tensions surfaced during the first week when several women refused food prepared by German hands. Others complained about unfamiliar preparations. German military-style stews seemed alien to palates accustomed to Mediterranean cuisine. The cooks, still processing their capture and Italy's surrender, initially approached their assignment with mechanical detachment, viewing it as another military duty rather than humanitarian service. Language barriers reinforced these divisions. Müller's attempts to explain German cooking techniques to Italian assistants created confusion and occasional conflict. American supervisors, focused on caloric intake rather than culinary traditions, initially dismissed these tensions as secondary concerns. The breakthrough came unexpectedly through bread. On October 15th, facing flour supplies of unprecedented quality after years of working with increasingly compromised ingredients, Müller produced crusty white loaves that exceeded military specifications. The familiar aroma filled the kitchen facility, drawing Italian women from their quarters to investigate. The simple act of breaking bread, fresh, white, and abundant, created a momentary connection that transcended political divisions. An elderly Sicilian woman, examining Müller's loaves with professional assessment, demonstrated with gestures how the bread could be improved using traditional Italian techniques. The German cook, his professional pride engaged rather than offended, incorporated her suggestions the following day. The resulting bread, German precision enhanced by Italian artistry, made possible by American abundance, symbolized the potential for unexpected collaboration. Captain Harrington, observing this interaction, noted in his report, "Food appears to communicate when language fails. The German cooks take visible pride in producing quality meals despite the identity of the recipients. The Italian women show increasing willingness to engage with the process when their culinary knowledge is acknowledged. This small moment of connection through shared appreciation for well-made bread hinted at possibilities beyond mere nutritional recovery, the beginnings of human reconciliation through the universal language of food. November 1943. The logistical operation supporting the Palermo kitchen facility demonstrated American organizational capacity that astonished the German cooks. Weekly supply trucks arrived with clockwork precision despite ongoing military operations. Quartermasters maintained detailed inventory records, allocating precise quantities. 2.34 pounds of flour weekly per person, 0.35 pounds of sugar, 0.88 pounds of meat, 0.7 pounds of powdered milk. This abundance wasn't the result of special prioritization, but rather standard American supply chain efficiency, operating even as the main war effort pushed northward. The menu evolution reflected growing collaboration between reluctant participants. Initial offerings resembled standard military fare, practical, nutritionally complete, but uninspiring. By mid-November, influenced by increasing input from the Italian women, meals incorporated more Mediterranean elements. German efficiency merged with Italian culinary wisdom, creating hybrid dishes, pasta prepared with precise German timing, but seasoned according to regional Sicilian traditions. Soups combining American canned goods with Italian herbs grown in small garden plots established beside the facility. Medical evaluations conducted on November 15th documented the program's impact. Average weight gain reached 5.4 pounds per person since initiation. Blood samples showed hemoglobin levels increased by 15%, approaching normal parameters. Psychological assessments noted improved mood and increased energy. These clinical measurements translated to visible human changes. Women who had arrived hollow-cheeked and lethargic now engaged actively with their environment, participating in educational programs established by Allied civil affairs officers. For the German cooks, this evidence of recovery proved professionally satisfying while ideologically confusing. Wehrmacht training had emphasized resource conservation, prioritizing combat efficiency above civilian welfare. Here they witnessed American authorities allocating precious wartime resources to non-combatants, not as propaganda, but as standard procedure. Captain Reynolds explained matter-of-factly, "Winning means more than defeating armies. It means demonstrating better values." This perspective contradicted everything the German cooks had absorbed through years of military service. In German-occupied territories across Europe, civilian rations averaged 1,500 calories daily, sufficient to prevent starvation, but inadequate for robust health. The policy reflected deliberate calculation, minimum sustenance to maintain workforce productivity without diverting resources from military operations. American authorities in Sicily, by contrast, established 2,400 calories as the minimum target for displaced persons, including fresh vegetables when available and supplemental vitamins when not. Karl Müller, applying his culinary training in this unprecedented context, found professional pride gradually replacing ideological resistance. During his military service, cooking quality had deteriorated as ingredients became scarce, forcing compromises that offended his pre-war standards. Now, working with abundant American supplies, he could exercise skills long suppressed by necessity. The Wehrmacht valued cooks who stretched inadequate supplies. The Americans valued cooks who maximized nutritional benefits and meal quality. American Lieutenant James Wilson, supervising the program, documented this transformation in weekly reports. German POW cooks initially approached assignments with minimal engagement, meeting basic requirements without initiative, he wrote on October 10th. By November 20th, his assessment changed. Subject specialists now demonstrate professional commitment exceeding requirements, implementing improvements without prompting and requesting additional ingredients to enhance nutritional profiles. Red Cross observer Elsa Branscombe, visiting in late November, provided external verification. The program represents an innovative approach to multiple challenges, her report noted. Nutritional needs of displaced persons are addressed while productively utilizing prisoner skills. The improved physical condition of beneficiaries is readily apparent. The psychological impact on the German cooks deepened as they witnessed the direct correlation between their work and the women's recovery. Men trained to support military efficiency now observed their skills nurturing individual healing. This concrete evidence challenged abstract propaganda about American motivations and capabilities. The pivotal moment occurred when Müller requested permission to prepare Martinsgans, a traditional German November celebration meal featuring roast goose. When supply limitations made this impossible, he adapted the concept using available ingredients, creating a feast day meal that honored the tradition's spirit if not its exact form. This voluntary effort, exceeding assigned duties, marked a significant psychological shift, from reluctant compliance to creative engagement. Captain Reynolds, observing this transformation, wrote to headquarters, "The unexpected outcome of this program may be the re-education of the German personnel involved. Their direct experience contradicts previous indoctrination more effectively than formal denazification lectures. They are learning American values through actions rather than words." December 1943. The transformation in the German cooks became evident in subtle behavioral shifts noticed by American observers. Men who initially worked with mechanical precision now demonstrated personal investment in meal outcomes. Karl Müller, once rigidly efficient, began testing multiple recipe variations to improve palatability while maintaining nutritional standards. This evolution reflected deeper psychological changes, as daily experiences systematically contradicted years of indoctrination. Nazi propaganda had portrayed Americans as materialistic, yet incapable of organizational discipline, simultaneously decadent and inefficient. The reality encountered in Sicily presented irreconcilable contradictions. American quartermaster operations delivered supplies with precision that matched German military standards. Weekly deliveries arrived despite Mediterranean storms and ongoing combat operations further north. The promised 2,400 daily calories materialized consistently, not as exceptional effort, but standard procedure. The ingredients themselves told a compelling story. American white flour contained 12% protein content compared to German wartime flour at 8% with significant sawdust adulteration. American canned vegetables retained color and texture that German processing technology couldn't match. Most revelatory was American chocolate. 10-pound blocks of cooking chocolate appeared monthly in quantities German military bakers hadn't seen since 1939. This chocolate, allocated for nutritional supplementation rather than special occasions, symbolized casual American abundance versus German strategic scarcity. The relationship between German cooks and Italian women evolved through daily interaction. Initial suspicion gave way to cautious cooperation, then active collaboration. By December, several women with pre-war cooking experience regularly assisted in the kitchen, contributing regional expertise that enhanced meal acceptance. This collaboration created communication channels that transcended limited shared vocabulary. Food preparation became a form of dialogue when spoken language failed. Health metrics documented the program's success. Medical evaluations conducted on December 20th showed average weight gain reaching 8.6 pounds per person since initiation. Blood tests revealed hemoglobin and protein levels approaching normal parameters. Psychological assessments noted reduced anxiety indicators and improved sleep quality. The women's physical appearance transformed noticeably. Gaunt features filled out, skin conditions cleared, and energy levels increased dramatically. Captain Reynolds compared these outcomes with conditions in German-controlled territories, where civilian health deteriorated under occupation policies. Reports from liberated areas indicated average weight loss of 12–15% among Italian civilians in German-controlled regions. The contrast between these declining metrics and the improving health of women under Allied care provided concrete evidence that contradicted Nazi claims of German superiority. The German cook's professional pride became increasingly evident in meal presentation. Wehrmacht training emphasized standardized portions and utilitarian service. By December, meals from the Palermo kitchen featured thoughtful presentation, garnishes, and occasional decorative elements using simple ingredients. This attention to aesthetic details, unnecessary for basic nutrition but significant for psychological well-being, indicated shifting priorities from mere sustenance to comprehensive care. Friedrich Weber, formerly head chef at Berlin's Adlon Hotel before his military service, later described this period in a 1952 interview. "I began questioning everything I believed when I saw Americans treat these Italian women, citizens of a defeated enemy nation, with greater care than Germany provided its own allies. This was not propaganda but daily reality I witnessed personally. The Americans demonstrated strength through generosity rather than control through deprivation." American psychological officer Captain Bernard Steinman observed these changing perspectives, documenting the transformation in detailed reports. Subject specialists initially interpreted American humanitarian measures as strategic deception, he wrote on October 5th. By December 28th, he noted, "POW personnel now recognized genuine humanitarian motivation, expressing surprise at resource allocation to non-military objectives during active conflict." The culmination of this psychological journey manifested during Christmas preparations. Without specific instructions, the German cooks requested permission to create traditional holiday treats using basic ingredients. American authorities approved additional sugar and fruit allocations. The resulting Christmas meal, featuring stolen bread adapted with available ingredients, represented voluntary effort beyond required duties. During this meal service, a moment of profound significance occurred. An elderly Italian woman, receiving a slice of the holiday bread, made the traditional sign of the cross before eating, a gesture of blessing directed at the German cook who had prepared it. This simple acknowledgement, crossing boundaries of language and former enmity, visibly affected Müller and his colleagues. The moment embodied recognition of shared humanity transcending political divisions. This Christmas meal, created through German skill using American resources for Italian beneficiaries, crystallized the fundamental contradiction to Nazi ideology: strength expressed through provision rather than domination, victory pursued through restoration rather than destruction. April 1944. As Allied forces pushed northward through Italy, the Palermo kitchen facility began its planned transition to civilian operation. Italian authorities, supported by American civil affairs units, assumed responsibility for ongoing care of the displaced women. The German cooks, having completed their unexpected humanitarian assignment, prepared for transfer to permanent POW facilities in the United States. The program that began as an impromptu solution to an immediate crisis had operated for 7 months, serving approximately 217,000 meals and demonstrating an alternative approach to post-conflict humanitarian response. The comprehensive records maintained by American authorities documented the program's scope and impact. Initial nutritional assessments in September 1943 showed 89% of women suffering from clinical malnutrition. By April 1944, medical evaluations reported 94% had achieved normal weight ranges with complete resolution of vitamin deficiency symptoms. Average weight gain reached 12.4 pounds per person. Psychological assessments noted dramatic improvement in mental health indicators, with reduced anxiety, depression, and trauma symptoms. These clinical measurements translated into visible human recovery. Women who arrived broken by war experiences departed with restored physical and psychological health. For the German cooks, repatriated to Germany in 1946 after extended internment in American POW camps, this experience influenced their post-war trajectories. Karl Müller, returning to a devastated Berlin, used his knowledge of American food distribution systems when he joined the post-war municipal government's food allocation program. Friedrich Weber, applying techniques developed during the Sicily operation, opened a restaurant in Munich that became known for creating satisfying meals from limited ingredients during Germany's hunger years of 1946 to 1948. Wilhelm Brandt established a cooking school in Hamburg in 1950 that incorporated lessons learned during his POW experience, teaching efficient nutrition-focused techniques adapted from American military guidelines. Several others pursued careers in institutional food service, introducing streamlined production methods they had witnessed in American military operations. Their professional approaches reflected lasting influence from their unexpected role in Sicily, combining German precision with American abundance concepts and Italian flavor traditions. A 1972 research project by historian Maria Lombardi located and interviewed 15 surviving participants from all three nationalities involved. Their testimonies preserved this unique historical episode. Antonia Ricci, one of the Italian women who received meals at the facility, recalled, "We expected nothing after Italy's surrender, abandoned by our own government, threatened by Germans, suspicious of Americans. The food program showed us another possibility. These meals prepared by former enemies under American supervision demonstrated a different kind of strength than we had witnessed during years of fascism." Former Lieutenant James Wilson, interviewed for the same study, reflected, "The Sicily feeding operation was never about propaganda. It simply represented standard American procedure, addressing human needs with available resources and practical solutions. The psychological impact on the German cooks was entirely secondary to our humanitarian objectives, but potentially more significant in the long term." The Palermo kitchen operation exemplified larger patterns in American military approach to civilian populations. Documents from U.S. Army Civil Affairs archives reveal systematic planning for humanitarian operations concurrent with combat activities. This integration of civilian welfare into military planning contradicted German military doctrine that subordinated humanitarian concerns to strategic objectives. The contrasting approaches reflected fundamental differences in how each nation conceptualized victory and post-war reconstruction. Historical records preserving this episode include official military documentation, medical reports, supply requisitions, personal correspondence, and post-war interviews. Together they confirm that this small-scale operation involving German cooks, Italian women, and American resources represented more than an impromptu solution to immediate needs. It demonstrated competing visions of national power and purpose. Modern military humanitarian operations echo approaches pioneered during this period. Contemporary U.S. military doctrine explicitly incorporates civilian welfare operations into campaign planning rather than treating them as separate concerns. This integration of combat operations with humanitarian assistance traces its lineage to World War II experiences like the Palermo kitchen facility, where military effectiveness expanded beyond battlefield dominance to include civilian recovery. The German cooks who began their capture expecting punishment or exploitation instead experienced an alternative vision of national strength. Through preparing meals for former allies under enemy supervision, they witnessed power expressed through provision rather than deprivation. The lesson learned through this unlikely culinary diplomacy, that genuine strength includes the ability to care for the vulnerable, represented the most profound challenge to their previous indoctrination. In this quiet revolution, fought with ladles and mixing spoons, military cooks trained to sustain Germany's war effort became unwitting participants in demonstrating why that effort would ultimately fail. The transformation of warriors into caregivers, accomplished through the simple daily act of preparing meals, represented victory achieved not through destruction, but through nourishment, healing bodies and changing minds simultaneously through the universal language of food.